Iran and the U.S. appear to have hit pause on escalating tensions between the two countries.
Now American lawmakers are sparring over why President Trump ordered the assassination of Iran's top general. KCAL 9 political reporter Randy Page is here with the latest. Randy.
I guess the adrenaline rush is over for now, right? But the question is, what happened yesterday? While lawmakers debate whether or not President Trump had the justification to target Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in the first place, there are questions tonight about how Iran could drop thousands of pounds of explosives on two air bases without harming a soul. This as more rockets are fired in Baghdad tonight. 3 rockets were fired into the green zone, which surrounds the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad tonight. One landed just a football field away from the embassy, but there are not reports of any injuries or damage. The rockets were much smaller than the payloads in the 16 ballistic missiles that hit 2 Iraqi air bases housing American troops last night. These missiles were launched from 3 different locations in western Iran, only minutes flying time from their targets in Iraq. Most of the missiles hit the Al-Asad air base northwest of Baghdad, but some also targeted a base in Erbil in northern Iraq. Commercial satellite photos of Al-Asad show the craters left by the 1,000 and 2,000-pound warheads, and yet not a single person was killed, which leads to the question, did the Iranians put on a lethal show of force for 2 separate audiences with 2 separate scripts? Iranians watching their state television saw dramatic images of ballistic missiles being launched from inside Iran. Iran state TV reported their ballistic missiles were launched at the same time U.S. missiles hit beloved General Qasem Soleimani 1 week before. That U.S. troops were targeted, that more than 80 Americans were killed, that Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei was in the control room orchestrating the attacks. Some Middle East experts are saying tonight this version of the script was produced for millions of Iranians seething over the killing of Soleimani, who were demanding retribution. Tonight, CBS News is reporting another Iranian script may have been unfolding at the very same time. This one for an American and an Iraqi audience. It begins before the attack as Iran brought its missile force to a higher state of alert, broadcasting on state TV elaborate underground bunkers where missiles could be prepared out of sight from spy satellites, giving U.S. intelligence the heads up of what may be coming. One defense official told CBS News the bases in Iraq had multiple hours warning before the launches, plenty of time for troops to take shelter in bunkers. A senior administration official told the Washington Post, "We knew and the Iraqis told us that this was coming many hours in advance." And once the Iranian missiles were in the air, they landed on targets that apparently did not have any U.S. or Iraqi forces in the crosshairs. Some officials speculated Iran aimed to miss. With this script, intended for an American audience, Iran may have intended to persuade President Trump not to retaliate. If so, it worked.
The American people should be extremely grateful and happy. No Americans were harmed in last night's attack by the Iranian regime. We suffered no casualties. All of our soldiers are safe, and only minimal damage was sustained at our military bases.
This morning, in a speech before the nation, the president announced new sanctions, not military action, in response to the missile attack.
As we continue to evaluate options in response to Iranian aggression, the United States will immediately impose additional punishing economic sanctions on the Iranian regime.
Also this morning, top Trump administration officials arrived on Capitol Hill for a private briefing with House and Senate leaders to explain the nature of the immediate threat General Soleimani posed that prompted the president's decision to take him out. Republican Senator John Kennedy backs the president's decision.
There were no casualties, for which I'm thankful.
But at least 2 Republican lawmakers were livid as they came out of the briefing. Senator Rand Paul was asked if he learned of any evidence suggesting Soleimani posed an immediate danger, as the White House claimed.
There was no specific information given to us of a specific attack. Generalities, stuff you read in the newspaper was given to us. I didn't learn anything in the hearing that I hadn't seen in a newspaper already.
Probably the worst briefing I've seen, at least on a military issue, in the 9 years I've served in the United States Senate.
And there is bipartisan support tonight for a resolution in both the Senate and the House, which would require the president to consult with Congress before launching any new offensive against Iran. Speaker Nancy Pelosi plans to introduce the House version tomorrow morning.
All right, Randy, thank you. The threat of another airstrike might be over for now, but local law enforcement agencies are on alert tonight. Just hours after the president's speech, the FBI warned that Iran could launch cyber attacks, assassination attempts, or call on other terror groups like Hezbollah to attack.